Myrza Sison is the host of TikTok and Ask Miss Myrz, writer, editor, model, and author. Whether she is on the go or spending time with her family, she gives everything, she does her all, and that is what makes her the inspiring individual that she is today.
Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of In Love with Me, where we feature inspiring individuals who share their amazing stories. I am your host, Mafae Yunon Velasco, and for this series, our topic is Finding Your Why. For this episode, we have an empowered woman, host of TikTok and Ask Miss Myrz, writer, editor, supermodel, and author, to motivate us to take action. So without further ado, let's welcome the beautiful and amazing Myrza Sison. Hi, Myrza.
Hello, hi, how are you? Hi to everyone.
I'm good, and I'm so glad you agreed and said yes to be part of
having me.
For sure. I mean, I'm in awe, of course. You know, you are one of the inspiring women that I look up to ever since during the modeling, the fashion, and even, the magazines. And the things that you've done has really been such a game changer. As a woman, we always strive to be, I guess, not in competition, but just in par with men. And I feel as though you were one of those women that I was just like, wow. I want to be like her. I want to be able to, be someone that can share news, beautiful news. Of course, being part of the fashion industry allowed you to really show your knowledge and your passion through everything that you were managing. But I know I'm rambling, and this is because I've always been like maybe a somewhat fan on the side, but I've never really admitted to you. But I do want you to share a little bit of your background to everyone who, of course, is just seeing you now and want to get to know you more just with what I've shared. And of course, the beautiful pictures. Did you visit memory lane a little bit?
Right. Thank you for that trip down memory lane, and thank you for looking for those pictures. You really took me back. And first of all, thank you for all the kind words that you just said. I don't know quite how to react, but I'm glad if every time I think of the way that if I've touched a life or a few lives, then I'm happy because of the work that I do. So thank you for the appreciation. It really means a lot.
Of course.
So as for the background, how far back do you want to go?
It's up to you. I know you've done so many things in your life journey, and I don't mind if you go way, way back, even before the modeling career. I mean, maybe school days.
How much time do we have?
We have a lot of time.
No,
you are actually my finale for the year for In Love with Me.
Wow.
I am actually also grateful to announce that, to have Myrza In Love with Me series for the finale of this year.
Well, since you mentioned that I can go far back, I think if you ask me at what point did I become an empowered person, I would say all the reading that I did as a child really opened up my mind and my world as to the possibilities out there of what people can become. Although, because I entered school very young, like I was in first grade at 5 years old. By the time I was 11, I went to a science high school, which is really very young. And by the time I was 14, I finished high school. And at 14, you have to decide. I think when we filled out the application forms for college, I was only 13. And how do you know what to take up in college at 13, right? So my parents kind of decided for me. And although I really wanted to be a writer because I love to read and I love to write, and I was always part of the school paper and whatnot. I really wanted to be a journalist, but my parents said no. It was the time of the Marcos regime in the 80s, and they were very fearful about the fate of journalists. My dad said, you cannot be a journalist because it's a dangerous job. You might be jailed. So what do you know at 13, right? And so they decided for me that I would pursue a career in the computer world, which was the wave of the future. And they were right, because it's the IT world that flourished and really became the industry to join. So I was very obedient. I took up statistics, which was supposed to be the course that was going to prepare me for the world of computers. And I didn't know, at 14 in college, what do you know, right, about the course of your whole life? And so I very obediently followed what they said. I finished the course, even if I really didn't like it. I was good in math. And I think somehow you realize later on that just because you're good at something doesn't mean it's what you should do. And so I finished the statistics course. I became a computer programmer at SGV because, I was obediently following the course that people had decided was the way to go. Yeah. But at the back of my mind, I really harbored secret dreams of becoming a writer. And another dream was to become a model. Because I grew up with books and magazines, I had a fantasy world of somehow becoming a fashion model, which was so unlikely because I was so nerdy and I was so shy. And so, I really banished the thought. I didn't even bring it up with my parents, right? Like, how dare I even suggest that? So I was cultivating like this secret fantasy at the back of my mind, like, in my fantasy world, I'll be a model. But no, I'm a computer programmer. But I think the desire to really do what I wanted at this time, at 18, I was done with college. By 19, I was working in SGV. I couldn't silence my mind, and I couldn't silence that desire to pursue modeling. And so secretly, I didn't tell my parents. Secretly, I was going on castings and auditions, and I was really, trying to be a model. Even I don't know where I got the confidence, because I was always gawky and awkward and shy, but eventually I did it. And then when the time came when I think I had made headway into modeling as a career, and I was earning much, much more than my computer programming job, I finally had to break the bad news to my parents that, you know what? I'm a model now, and I quit my job as a computer programmer, and they were very, very upset. They're like, why did you have to study if you're gonna pose and smile for a living, right? Like, you don't even have to study for that. And I think by this time I had already moved out of the house as independent. And so when you are independent, you are able to make your own decisions because you're not answerable to anyone. And although I think I was 20 years old, so I was still not legal, right? I was under 21. I had saved my money. I was living on my own. And so when you're independent and you're making your own decisions, you're self-reliant, I think it empowers you to chart the course of your life. And so I pursued modeling for 7 years. Every year that I was still a model, my parents would be so upset. My mother would say, when are you going to snap out of this craziness and get a master's degree like all the children of my friends, and go back to like what you're supposed to do? But I was very stubborn, and I just bravely told them, I'm sorry, this is what I want to do. And so that's the first step of empowerment that I experienced at 19 was a decision to pursue my own dreams after having obediently followed everyone else's wishes. So that was the first. And then for 7 years, I modeled, and I took my career all over Asia. I decided, because I gave up so much in my previous career, I gave up so much as a computer programmer, I decided that I would take this career as far as it could go. And so the answer to that was Asia. So I modeled in Singapore, Hong Kong, Bangkok, Indonesia. And it was very lucrative. I learned a lot. I saw the world. I picked up a few skills. But as we know, a model's shelf life doesn't last very long because it's so youth oriented. I don't know. I think it's changing now because we have models like Marina Benepayo, who in her 50s is still closing all the major fashion shows. So she's really broken ground in this respect. But at the tail end of my modeling career, I was shopping around for a new career, and I decided that my first love, which was writing, was going to be my next career. And I don't know where I found the guts or the confidence or even the knowledge. I didn't know where to start or what to do, right? Like, just as I didn't know how to become a model, but found my way, I found my way to being a writer. And the way I did this was I just spread the word that I was a writer, right? Like, I didn't even go to school I wasn't a journalism graduate. I wasn't really a writer, but in my mind, I could write, right? So eventually word spread and people started hiring me to write press releases. And one thing led to another, and I became the first fashion editor of Preview magazine. And this is through, like just telling the world that you can do something, even if it has no basis. I don't know if this is easier now or harder because there's so many others. But back then, I don't think it was done. But then somehow, to this day, I still don't know where I got my courage. But maraming naniwala. And so before I knew it, I was the first fashion editor of Preview magazine in 1995, which was to become like the #1 fashion magazine, which led to Cosmopolitan, which led to Marie Claire. And before I knew it, in Summit Media, I lasted there for 25 years. And I was at one time, in charge of 25 magazines. And soon after, all the websites followed until we closed the print division. And I was in charge of 13 websites. And so up until a year ago, which is when I left Summit Media, I was in charge of over 100 millennials under me. So it was a long career, which it was unexpected, really. Like, I didn't plan my life like from a 14-year-old deciding on a statistics course. I certainly did not say I will become an editor and I will, be in charge of so many publications. Really, I just took things one step at a time. And I decided, when people ask me, how did you last so long in the publishing industry for decades? Yes. All I could say was, every day that I went to work, I just asked myself, am I still happy today? And every day that I went to work, I was still very happy despite all the challenges and the obstacles. And before I knew it, it was 25 years.
Wow, amazing.
There.
Yes, because asking that question, no matter what you do in your life, if you're not truly happy, it doesn't become.
Yes.
When you're happy with it, it doesn't become work. It just becomes, I'm just playing around, or I'm just empowering others, inspiring others. But it really is important to ask yourself if you're happy with what you're doing.
Of course, not every aspect of the job was pleasant. Like, there were very unpleasant things that I preferred not to do. But, you take the happy with the hard, and you just take it one day at a time. And so there, in the blink of an eye, 25 years passed.
Congratulations. That's so amazing. My take homes from what you shared is, number one, of course, respect your parents.
And of course, I do not blame them at all. I have no regrets about anything that happened because they were raising me in the best way they knew how. And I'm glad that they trained me to excel, even if they're kind of very they're kind of pushy as parents. They were like, what's the word now? Helicopter parents or tiger parents, because that was the way that uh, people raise children before. I'm glad that they push me to excel. Uh, sometimes it's hard because like a lot of our mental health sometimes suffers when we become perfectionists. So I don't regret it, but these days when as we know, the year 2020 has really enlightened everyone to rethink the way they do things. So I've come to terms with my perfectionist tendency sometimes being hard on mental health, and I've learned to discern between perfectionism and striving for excellence. And now I know it's not necessarily the same thing. So there, I have no regrets. I'm very grateful to my parents. They raised me the best way they knew how. And it's a combination of all these factors that made me who I am today. So there.
You're glowing, from the first time I met you, of course, with my aunt and the circle of the beauties that was mentoring me too. I would always look up to all of you because you all reinvent yourselves. I think you are inspiring women that I look up to, and just with your story alone, I'm more inspired. I mean, wow, you're
I think the key is really reinvention because in the picture that you flashed, I really admire all those women too, because now I think they are really showing the world that life doesn't stop in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and they're constantly, showing us how things could be. And so I'm also grateful for them and all the women who came before me, both in the modeling industry, the publishing industry, and all over the world. I think now age is really not a drawback anymore, and you can reinvent yourself at whatever age you please.
Exactly. I mean, just thinking about that, of course, it's a different generation now. And if you had a chance living this generation in your youth, what would be your biggest advice to the young ones now?
You mean if I were Gen Z right now?
Yes. I mean, knowing what you know from your experience, the time that you were your youth, that generation, to perhaps 90s, and then now,
Right.
what would be your biggest advice
Right.
to or to your young self?
Oh, to my young self. As I said, I have no regrets, but sometimes I do wish that I did take up journalism so that I would be better equipped to handle or have the knowledge about the things I needed to know as a journalist.
Yes.
But I guess taking the path of a mathematical path also helped me organize my thinking. I became very systematic and efficient in the way I solve problems and very proactive about solutions. And so it came with its own advantages. Maybe I would tell my young self to enjoy life and to savor every minute because, as we know, time really flies really fast. And when I look back, like when you were flashing all the pictures from my youth, in my mind, it's just yesterday, but it's decades ago. And I'm glad I took a lot of pictures, and I really tell the models of today, especially the ones who are so adventurous that they're modeling in New York and Milan and London. I'm telling people like Hannah Luxin and Julian Kulas and even Ella Ivorin, savor every minute, take lots of pictures, even if you're disheartened, because it's really a struggle to model abroad. It's so uncertain. You don't have the comfort of your network of Philippine friends and contacts. I told them to savor every moment. And even if it's just a test shoot, really treat it like a golden opportunity, because when you look back on your life and you look back on your youth, you'll find yourself so lucky to have experienced all these things. So there, savor every moment. Actually, I'm really envious and jealous, and I really admire the youth of today, because at such a young age, they have the privilege of knowing what they want, and the possibilities are endless. Back in our time, uh, careers were just like, the right career was either to be a lawyer, a doctor, a banker, an accountant, right? Because this was the societal conditioning. It was not okay to be an artist or whatever else that was not, an easy money making way. But now kids can be anything, right? They can be a
Yes.
YouTuber. It's encouraged, because now there's no limit to what you can do or be. And I really admire them for knowing what they want at an early age. But maybe something I've noticed is, because they come from such an instant results generation, where they are able to achieve results of whatever they're doing in an instant. Maybe they don't really learn how to persevere or to have grit and patience. So this makes them impatient about getting results. Like, they want to be a tycoon in like 2 years. And I experienced this also handling a lot of millennials who were very impatient about the progress of the growth in the company, as if it were a race, because maybe they're so used to comparing themselves to others and seeing, why is this person who is much younger than me earning millions? But it's just one example out of millions of people, right? It's not an accurate picture, and social media comparison is sometimes very unhealthy, because everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own pace, and it's really not a race. So I would probably advise them to learn about the struggles and journeys of people they admire, if only to see that failure is part of the process, difficulties are part of the journey, and they have to not be afraid of going through discomfort, going through struggle, because it's part of the process. You can't avoid the hard parts of something that you want to achieve. And so there, maybe grit and patience, but I really admire their determination. And I think people like Greta Thunberg and Malala Yousafzai, really amazing young women who decided, like, this is not how the world should be, I'm going to change it. And they're so brave and unwavering, and their confidence and their determination to make the world a better place. And I really admire that. And I think the world is in good hands. The world that maybe our generation helped destroy, the environment that we polluted and destroyed. I really admire them for taking action at such a young age. And I think it's the norm, right? It's in to be woke. Like, they're not even woke. If they're all woke, then it's just the way that they think, and it's very admirable. So I learn a lot from them, actually. I have a niece. She's only 18 years old, but because I suggested to her, I don't know if you know Carly Kloss, the supermodel. She put up a computer programming camp for young girls, and I read about it, and I sent the link to my niece, who was then 17, and then she applied and she learned how to code. And after that, she put up a website and a social media platform where she taught fellow teenagers to learn how to code in order to change the world in small steps. And so she built up this nonprofit organization at the age of 18, which really grew and expanded its sphere of influence, and it was so successful that Carly Kloss featured her on her own Instagram. And so I'm so amazed, because this is my same niece who, I was playing with from age 5, and now she's 18. And I'm so in awe of their generation. Like, anything is possible for them. It's within reach. They can make a website. They can. You have 6-year-olds who know how to edit. Who can teach us too, right?
But I think, the most important thing there, I mean, your niece is very lucky. She's very lucky to have you as an aunt who has been a game changer at a young age, even without technology, right?
Right.
A simple thing of you encouraging her, hey, why don't you try this? Without you, she would not be, introduced to the opportunity that she's having now. So that's why I'm very grateful for you, because I continue to see you motivate and inspire others just through your words, your
Oh,
time.
thank you
Like
for that.
earlier offline, diba, we were talking about Kumu, and I have to say hello everyone who's tuned in. But when I do see you motivate others, you're on your own, and I was like, wow, Mirza, that's tough, you
Kumu is
know.
so hard. Hats off to everyone who does Kumu and speak for 1 hour straight. I'm running out of words, so I don't know how you guys do it. And this year actually has been such a year of learning for me. Like, no matter what I achieved or where I came from, I'm back to square one. Like, we're all beginners in this field. Like, I'm trying to, I invented like a talk show out of nowhere. Like, just all trying to reinvent ourselves and start from the beginning and learn as we go along. So I think I've learned to appreciate others and encourage others even more, because I've seen how hard what they do is. And really, I think 2020 has been a year of just appreciating your fellow human for all the little things that they do and for just trying to survive. So if there's something that good that will come out of 2020, I think it's compassion for each other and appreciation for each other. And it's really been a humbling experience.
So please, Mirza, invite them to your shows
Oh,
that you
yeah.
have.
I have TikTok, which is a celebrity Q&A, which airs every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. On Facebook, YouTube, and Kumu, alternating with Ask Miss Mears, which is an expert Q&A where we ask experts about your questions, practical tips, every other Wednesday also, 5 to 6 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Kumu. So follow me on Instagram at Myrza Sison, also on Facebook and Kumu, same, MYRZASISON.
There you have it, guys. Mark your calendars, put your alarm on, because you will be inspired. I mean, I am always tuned in, and I have so many takeaways from Mirza and her guests. And that's the reason why I was like, I have to have Mirza on this show so that I can feature her. She's always serving others. So it's time
Sorry,
to
I forgot. Kumu also Saturdays 3 to 4 p.m.
see. There you have it, guys.
So much.
Especially during this time. And I hope that you learn a few things or a lot of things from what Mirza shared today. For me, I think I have another question that I'm very curious, because I feel as though we're so aligned in the way that we live our lives. But as humans, as women, we do have our off days. So I do want to know, what is your inspiration to bringing yourself back to be motivated?
Right.
How do you turn back that switch of taking the negative feeling away?
Right. I'll be honest, the early days of the pandemic were especially hard for me. It was something I had never experienced before, because in the busyness of corporate life for 25 years, I really never had the time to do nothing. And when you do nothing, you overthink things, right? When you're unable to be productive and you're like trapped in your own thoughts, you tend to overthink things and get anxious and worry. And so I spent a few weeks just being catatonic on the couch, like really unable to proceed because all the plans had been stopped and suddenly it was so uncertain. And so it took a while. It took a lot of inspiration from YouTube University. YouTube doesn't have a shortage of inspirational gurus and people, and really amazing and inspiring people that you can, you just search for whatever you're feeling, how to feel more, whatever, and then an answer will come, a guru will materialize, and then you learn. And so I found my balance by learning how to be kind to myself, learning how to really not pressure myself the way I used to, because like I said, I have perfectionistic tendency, and I grew up being pushed to excel and pushed to compete. And so in this new world that I have entered, it doesn't help to compare, it doesn't help to compete. All you can do is improve your own skills and measure your progress against yourself. Measure your progress today versus yesterday, and not you versus somebody else. Of course, there's a lot of stress eating that happened. It didn't help to see like other people getting six-pack abs while well, I lost mine, right? And so, they seem silly, they seem very superficial, but these things affect our self-esteem. And so I learned to be kinder to myself. I learned to just keep learning, keep trying to enjoy the process and not be hooked on the results. Like they say, you try your best to achieve your goals, but you detach from the outcome, so that if the outcome doesn't meet your desired, if your actual outcome doesn't meet your desired outcome, you're not devastated, and instead you appreciate the progress that you made, right? Things don't always turn out the way you want. And so do your best, strive for excellence, but try not to be a perfectionist, detach from the outcome, and then try to be happy and live in the moment, and then you'll be happier overall. It's taken a lot of learning and a lot of humbling, but I'm glad to say this has been my way of coping and way of just surviving and thriving.
That's wonderful. How I wish that I knew all of this at a younger age. But again, it does, like you said, it comes with experience. It comes
Right.
with a lot of mentorship.
It's a daily struggle. It's easier said than done. And I learn a lot from others as well. Like the people that we tend to compare ourselves with, it gets easier when you try to distill what it is that they did that you can apply to yourself, instead of feeling bad that they achieved this and that. Yeah, but how did they do it? What did they go through? And then you can learn from them. So they become your mentor instead of your competition. So that's a good way to reframe your mindset also.
I love it. Thank you, Myrza, for sharing your wise words. Great advice. It's such great mentorship. And of course, I know that you are possibly knowing your why, and please do share with everyone. Since our topic is finding your why, what is your why?
Right.
And what inspires you to keep pursuing it?
Right. I think because I've been through a lot in life and I've fought for the things that will make me happy, I think my why is because I've gone through a lot of challenges, career-wise, relationship-wise, and throughout life, all the obstacles that we went through. Because I've reached this stage of happiness and contentment and satisfaction, my why is to help others do the same. I think the opportunity to help transform the lives of a whole generation of young women who are also finding their why and finding their happiness is such a privilege, and I'm happy to help them do that. And so that is my why. To help others be happy is my why.
Amazing. Thank you, Myrza. I know you're such a busy woman, and I appreciate you gave some precious time to be part of this campaign. And I'm always going to be admiring you and everything you do. So perhaps give everybody again, invite them again to where they can find you and your upcoming shows, or maybe you have upcoming workshops or events online.
Right. Wednesdays, it's either TikTok or Ask Miss Mears, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Kumu. On Saturdays, 3 to 4 p.m., I'm on Kumu's Scene Zone, where I either interview a celebrity or dispense life advice. So there, I'm working on 2 books. It's gonna be, I'm not promising when they will be finished, but I'm working on 2 books. One is a book on short stories, which I'm trying to complete. And another one is a self-help book called Join Lang Nang Join, which I keep on announcing, but I haven't started. So I'm hoping that the more I announce it, the faster I can start
Do
writing.
it.
So there.
Well, that is.
Announce it.
Well, keep manifesting, and we will support you no matter what. And
Thank you
guys,
so
if
much.
you do have any other questions or just need that extra push, I'm sure Myrza is more than happy to answer any more of those. Please follow her. Her social media handles will be on this caption, so you can find
Yes,
her.
my website, by the way, is Myrza.com. You can remove the Sison. So
There you
Myrza.com.
go. Okay. So again, thank you, Myrza. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you so much.
Mafae. Appreciate
Thank
the chance. All
So,
right.
guys, there you have it. It is the finale episode of In Love with Me series with the beautiful Myrza Sison. I'll see you again in 2021. So, thank you again for making 2020 an amazing year for us, for your families.
Congratulations.
Thank you, regardless of the challenges that we have faced this year.
Right.
Remember, all you have to do is actions speak louder than words. And thank you for tuning in this episode of In Love with Me. Thank you, Myrza.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for watching In Love with Me series.